Alright, so it's the Thursday before Christmas. I'm just going to go through the firing. So this is blue and chun. You've got this really nice kind of texture coming through. You know, pretty sweet. Almost ran here. I'm not sure how much you can see those drips, but because of the high foot, we're all good here. But pretty nice glaze. So this is also blue and chun, and you can see it's kind of different here. It's got more of like an ivory color, and it's a little flatter. There's still some depth when you get up close to it, but this is a thicker application of the chun. So because it's not, you know, it's not bleeding into the blue as much, you're not getting quite as much color. On this side, it seems like it's a little thinner, and so you get a little bit more of the blue peeking through the chun. But on the other areas, it's more of that ivory color because of it's a thicker application. So this is Boswell on the inside and royal blue on the outside, and it's stoneware clay body. But in this area here where it's like a little textured, basically the person put sort of splotches of porcelain slip. And so it is a little bit brighter here, but you can really see that, you know, the royal blue, it's not that much darker on just stoneware. It's a little brighter on porcelain, but not by a lot. Also, this like texture is like really cool, and this is like not something that's difficult to do. So if you wanted something that was kind of chattering-ish, but you didn't feel comfortable with chattering, or you had a piece that was just too dry to chatter, you can just glob on some slip in like a band, and you know, so it's framed nicely, and it comes out pretty good. This is royal blue on the inside, Ohata on the outside, and then royal blue on the rim with chun and black. And so you can see, you know, it's another one of these glazes with a lot of action, similar to what we see normally with the chun and the black. It's really, really nice. You have to worry about running a little bit, but it's, you know, overall pretty sweet combination. So for this firing, we had a lot of really great colors. This is another one of those blue on the inside, gloss black and chun on the rim, and Ohata on the outside. And it is you get some really, really, really nice color, but you have to worry about the running. And when it runs only a little bit, you know, it's on the edge, we can just grind that off. It's a little extra work for me, but at least you have a nice piece. But sometimes when it sticks around too much, it just fuses to the kiln and we can't get it up, and it actually just shatters. So there's a couple people who had glazes that, you know, ran a little too much, and they're going to be disappointed, especially because usually the ones that run the most are the ones that have the nicest glaze. But, you know, try to watch out for that, especially on these lower, shorter pieces where you're loading up a bunch of stuff on the rim. You just don't have that much distance for it to run. So try to be a little lighter. Here we have white on the inside and celadon on the outside with a carved texture on the outside. This is particularly a great thing to do with the celadon. And if the celadon is on thinner, you haven't mixed it enough, it's a little browner. But here, even on the stoneware, we've got a pretty nice emerald green. So this is a great little piece, white on the inside, celadon on the rim, Ohata on the body, and then where the celadon and the Ohata overlap, there's matte black, which gives a pretty nice effect. And then obviously there's this little floral carving underneath the celadon that shines, you know, through quite nicely. Good application, no running. You always have to worry about these black. The black, it forms these drips that can go really far down. So a really good application on this one. So this is celadon on the whole thing with the red underglaze as these little berry things. And it's actually coated in porcelain, even though it's thrown in stoneware, basically to make it so that the celadon is a slightly brighter color. And then these areas, I believe that they are, I'm actually not exactly sure what they are, but they feel like they're carved in a bit through the porcelain to reveal the stoneware. And they're probably filled in with, I had to guess, is just some iron, but I'll have to ask Lynn. But good example of the red underglaze with celadon and, you know, the porcelain slip. So in this piece, we've got quite a lot of action, and this is actually a glaze combination that was really popular in the studio, like, I don't know, 8 years ago. I even used to use it quite a bit. But what it is, it's celadon on the whole thing, And then on the rim, it's gloss black and then chun. And so the black is giving it that darkness. When the chun runs, that's what's giving you the bright kind of colors that are really cool. You know, the celadon just gives a good background for it. On the bottom, we've got some chattering, which is pretty nice. Gives it some nice dimension on the bottom. It's getting a little run over by the runniness of the glaze. And in particular, we've got a little bit of running here, which isn't going to be the end of the world for me to grind off. But you know I hate grinding. But still, nice piece. Overall, you know, good glaze application, even if it's a little heavy-handed on the bottom. But nice color that is a combination you guys probably haven't seen for a while. So here we've got chun over white. We've got some really, really nice color, really close to dripping and running off the edge. So it's good that the foot was a little on the high side. Could have also put a little less chun on the glaze, but overall, you know, great job, great colors. So that's chun and white. So this is a pretty cool piece. It's Boz white, and I believe it's just the underglaze black. I could actually be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It might be Canvas black. But basically, it's inspired by some pieces from Tom Kemp, where he basically takes a big brush, whacks the piece, and then just does one big brush stroke, and it gives kind of a nice, you know, Zen sort of look. So this is Boz white on the stonework clay body with what I believe is this Chinese cobalt that I gave Vivian. The blue underglazes that we have in the studio would run a little less, but and if you put the Boz white on thinner, the line work wouldn't blur, but it's kind of nice how it's like a little feathery. All right, so this is the Boz white with the underglaze blue. Becky can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what she used. She might have also just used blue glaze, but you can see that there's less runniness and feathering on this one, and a lot of that has to do with, I think the Boz white is on thinner than that previous piece, and also it's on something flat, you know, where the glaze, where the dimension of the form starts to get a little bit more vertical. You can see that it's like running a little bit here, it's like moving around, but in these flatter areas it just stays in place. So I believe this is also the Chinese cobalt that I let Vivian use. One thing that's unique about this is it's stoneware, but it's coated with porcelain slip. But then where you see those drawings, she actually carved through the porcelain slip, so there's a little groove, and then filled it in with the Chinese cobalt. And then this has a thinner coat of the winter white. So that's why it's a little grayer, a little more icy, and not that creamy white that you see from the Boz white. But we got good hard lines. And this is the Chinese cobalt underneath winter white on a porcelain. So you can see on porcelain, the winter white is a really nice white. It's not this nice of a white on stoneware though. But the winter white, it runs less. And so you can see on the Boz white cup, the Chinese cobalt, it blurred a little, which was a nice effect. But with the winter white, you don't really get any blurring at all. It just holds it in place. So this is obviously a classic that you've all kind of seen before. Stoneware matte on the outside, royal blue on the inside and the rim. And then on the rim, there's an extra dip of woo and white. So getting this application is a little tricky. One of the important things is you really want to get the glazes on the rim, the woo and the white, to actually move and run. So they got to be kind of a thick application. And that's why I always suggest doing the blue and the stoneware matte on one day, and then coming in another day and doing the white and the woo on the rim. Because that way you'll just get more of the glaze there and it'll run more, and that's what really gives you this textured action. Obviously you got to make sure that you don't have it run off the pot, so you got to give yourself plenty of clearance. Usually not a glaze that's good to do on things that are really short, but if you've got a little bit of height, doing something running like this is great. So in this piece we have Zeller on the inside and the rim, and stoneware matte on the outside. You can see the stoneware matte's a little yellower and more spotty because the stoneware matte is on thinner. And the Zeller, when it's mixed really well, you've got a great blue and there's no pinholing. Very sweet. And obviously it's brown around the rim because the Zeller runs away from the edge. So this is kind of a prime example of the Zeller. And in this firing, basically everyone's Zeller came out great and a nice bright color. And I think most of that had to do with that I mixed it. So whenever you're mixing a glaze, particularly the Zeller, make sure that you can feel the bottom of the bucket. And if it feels like the bottom of the bucket is firm but completely flat, like you can't feel the grooves of the plastic, call me. So one of the reasons that makes this one such a good example of the Zeller is there's all these ridges in the form that are peeking up as brown. So you really get to see, you know, particularly in this area where it's chattered, you know, kind of all the action of what the Zeller can do. So nice bright blue colors where it's a little thicker, becomes a toasty brown in the highlights where there's like a ridge peeking up and the glaze breaks away from it. So well done. Also no running on this one. So this is Zeller and stoneware matte, and normally this is a glaze well, first of all, the glaze is nice. So you can really see the running into the Zeller into the stoneware matte, giving you this honey color, which is quite nice. But normally this is a glaze combination where you don't really have to worry about it running, because stoneware matte, which is on the bottom, is not a runny glaze, but the stoneware matte is on a little on the thick side, and so you see it did end up running here. And you can see also that it's starting to blush a little on the pink side. So with the stoneware matte, normally you would want it thinner to have more of a toasty brown, but if you are going to put it on thicker, got to have a slightly higher wax line. So always be conscious about that. You know, you may be using a glaze that's not a runny glaze. It's not categorized as a runny glaze, but if you put it on thick, it will move. So this is one of the reasons why I like suggesting stoneware matte for textured pieces, is because it just really shows off all the detail of any kind of carving. This thing is just like a heart. I think it was like partially press mold made. I don't know. You know, pretty simple. Just roll out a slab, cut it up, put it over something so it dries with a little bit of extra dimension. You know, and you can do some really, really nice stuff. So this is another slab piece by the same person, and it's a whale. It's with Zeller, and it's got a little bit of carving, and the Zeller shows it off quite nicely also. You don't get to see the carving quite as well, but for a whale, it kind of works really, really well. So pretty sweet piece. And again, this is just a slab cut out. If you didn't feel confident in your drawing skills, you can just print out an image from the internet and then just put it on top of a slab and just trace over it, and it'll leave an imprint in the clay that you can cut out. And lastly, we have these two very cute little piggy banks. They'll get corks in their snouts to hold things in, but it's just a piece thrown, you know, and then flipped on its side with little sausages for feet and just some little slab-built ears, you know, and a little tail. They're pretty cool.